Welcome to Accounting High.
It's called the Chief Proactive Advisor Program. So CPA, it's not on accident. It has the same initials. So it's really, we refer to it as CPA squared. It's exponentially improving the CPA life by going through the Chief Proactive Advisor Program. And the methods really has a 6 steps that you work through. And we have the workbooks and the methodologies, but it all starts with passion. What do you want to do in your life? Doesn't matter what you do now. If all you do is bookkeeping and you hate your life, bookkeeping may not be what you need to do. So we strip it all the way back to, what are you good at? What do you love? Who do you want to help? What services do you want to offer? And then what is your success? And then build a business plan.
May I have your attention, please?
Welcome to Accounting High. It's freshman year at a brand new school. Here, we have no rules in place as we're on a mission to set our own traditions. So hang tight and learn with us as we grow. At Accounting High, you can expect to gain knowledge in a completely different way than what you may be used to, with some fun and oftentimes colorful conversations. Whether you loved high school or you hated it, here's your chance to be a part of an unforgettable experience redone. While you're here, don't forget to follow us on Spotify or subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you may be listening to us right now so you don't miss out on any new episodes. And feel free to leave us a 5-star review letting us know how the school year is treating you. In addition, share this episode on social media tagging us at Accounting High. So sit back, relax, and open your mind because class is in session.
I repeat, may I have your attention, please?
This is another public service announcement brought to you in part
by Accounting High.
The views and events expressed here are
of the next generation of accounting and tech professionals leading this space.
The events and suggestions are not to be taken lightly. Children should not partake in the listening
of this podcast.
Anything else?
Yeah.
So without further ado, introducing the star of our show,
Jason Ackerman and Scott Scarano.
We're gonna have a problem here.
Ackerman, you want to introduce our guest?
Sure. Sean Duncan.
That guy. What direction do you point? Oh, yeah,
this
me.
is a audio, so you can point in any direction. That's the beauty.
Oh, so no video at all.
Well,
Okay.
Sometimes.
We might get some video in it.
Then what's the point of the color-coded books then? I mean, really, you just lost the whole atmosphere going.
So when we do video, I'm just going to do black and white too. So there is no point really.
It's
mess
to
it
keep
up.
Scott busy, because if he wasn't doing that, he'd be doing something worse. So
Be working on my raps. That's all I'm doing now.
If you do video, you should make it like cartoony, like the old Take On Me video where everything ends up like drawn art. That's how you should do a podcast.
That's actually a really good idea. I've kind of done that. I like a hybrid of that where I took our pop figures and I have little waveforms as the mouth moving for the trailers.
I've seen that.
So
Those are pretty awesome.
did you know that
Yeah, I
you're
have a lot
here
of fun
with
with it.
a professional rap artist now, that he has given up his accounting firm and now just straight rapping?
who, Sean?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I didn't know Sean did that.
Yeah, me. Yeah.
We could do a
No,
collaboration.
I'm talking
Yeah,
about
I'm-
Scott. I was asking that to Sean, and Sean just didn't know how to respond to it. Because,
No, the blank face. I was like, really? He gave it all up?
Scott, would you consider this
I
a
didn't give it
quarter
anything.
life crisis, a midlife crisis?
I would hope that it's a quarter, but I'm definitely approaching this. That's why I changed my colors to red. That's why I'm wearing red. You know how they get the red Corvette when you're midlife? I don't drive much, so I just wear red clothes now. All right. See?
I had a yellow Corvette.
Go
for a
toward the
little while.
light. Yeah, go toward the light.
Yeah.
Toward the sun.
I
So this is
switched to
not
the
about.
Jeep, so I'm maintaining a crisis over a longer period of time.
Well, Sean, tell us, how old are you?
I am.
49.
Oh, you look
yeah,
great.
so I'm-
This should be a visual medium, because you look like you're like 28.
He got 10 years on me, but he looks like I have 10 years on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks way younger than both of us. So how is it, like tanning? What are you doing? Tell us how you're staying so beautiful looking.
How I'm staying. Well, part of it is genetics. I mean, my mom, obviously, she had good genetics, but no, just eat right, healthy, work out a bunch, all the things we're supposed to do to make it to the age of 150.
Good, clean living. Then it would be a quarter life crisis if we went to 150. That
See-
would be.
Oh, yeah. In my case, it's a third
but-
life, but I'll take it either way. I'm gonna try to be there for my, when I'm 150 and I'm looking back halfway through my career, I want to decide if I'm going to keep going the other 150 or not. I'm
So,
going to be part robot. I'm like, if I'm Ultron by the time I'm dying, that's okay.
oh, Ultron. So this is going to be fun. Sean's a creative like myself. He has fun with the creative stuff. So we can go into that. And we usually go into hard numbers, and I know that you're not going to reveal all your numbers, but let's go over the ones that you want to reveal. That's kind of like setting the stage. We usually do this like right at the beginning of the episode or right at the end. So why don't we start at the front?
Okay.
Let's see. You got,
What do
so
you
you
want
have, you have a few endeavors, right? You've got your accounting firm. Let's start there. And just give us some numbers that you're happy
That's
to share.
SMD.
Like,
which I'm guessing is
yes.
your
Yes,
initials.
SMD. They are my initials, but also hilarious when you text them to people. Don't Google that.
don't Google
So
that.
SMD Consulting Accounting is, now you're Googling. It's going to screw the whole thing up.
Everyone,
I would know
Everybody's distracted. They've been all
SDM, like
thrown up.
a sexual direct message would be where I go, but MD, I'm not really quite
everyone
sure.
Google it now and then direct message Scott what you find.
Okay.
Yeah. Constantly DM him. That just go crazy on it. That'll be even funnier.
No, MD.
So SMD Consulting Accounting. Those are my initials. Started the firm back in 2006. So and made tons of transitions we can talk about. But 2017, I was the largest firm in Frisco, Texas. And so if anybody's looked up Frisco, Texas, Money Magazine in 2019 said number one place in the U.S. to live. It's been fastest growing city in the U.S. a couple different times in the last decade. Dallas Cowboy headquarters is here. PGA just moved its headquarters here. It's a burgeoning place. I mean, it's a big place. So when I looked up and I was accidentally the largest firm in town, that was a bit of a shock because I had no plans for that. So, and then we blew it all up and switched, and now I've got about 8 or 9 people, and we focus only on advisory. So number-wise, we were the largest. We had 14 people, hiring 3 more. We're using contractors all over the place. Now we are about 8 or 9. But by virtue of a joint venture, we got 30, 35 people because we do wealth management and estate planning through a joint venture with a law firm and wealth management firm. So we've got some pretty good reach nationally. What else would you like to know? Oh, I guess net
Top
income.
line,
Here's one that I use when I teach. Yeah, top line, I think we're going to hit 1.2 this year on just the accounting firm revenues, not counting wealth management, law, or speaking or anything else. So we're still a small firm by all scope. We were killing it before. But what's great about that is my net income percentage is over 4 times higher than when I was a traditional tax prep firm. So I made more revenue as a tax prep firm, had more employees. I get to keep more, work less.
That's the most elusive answer you could give. Vague. 4 times could be 4 times 1%, right?
It's true. It's true.
Give us a good percentage range, maybe, just to frame it.
Percentage range. To frame it, we are, the 1/3 rule in service-based businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody knows how that all works. So slightly below the 1/3 rule.
Okay. Fair enough.
30%.
So you also have, so you got your accounting firm, you got advisory, but you also do a lot of speaking and other things. So tell us a little bit about that, like percentage of revenue that brings in for you too, and the time that you spend doing that.
So it's really interesting. That's a brand new thing. This year alone, we just decided, hey, let's start. It'd be kind of cool to start speaking. Just let's go teach some people what we're doing, because the accounting services traditional ways weren't working. And when we started pivoting to pure advisory, honestly, we have so many leads that I have to charge to do my proposals. And so I realized we can only take in so many clients. So I thought I'd go teach other CPAs how to do advisory. And so it literally brand new thing this year, thought, hey, golly, this would be neat to talk in a couple conferences. And I'm not kidding. Within a few months, we had sponsors. The masterclass exists. We're building workbooks. I'm probably going to have some workshops next year. I've done them in one-offs as clients, CPA firms as clients to my consulting firm. But the speaking thing just took on a life of its own. So it's purely a break-even proposition right now. But I would not be shocked if it's 6 figures by the end of this year. And yes, we are talking in October, and there's only 2 months left in the year. So I know who's got some agreements sitting out there, but they haven't signed yet. So full transparency, break even's cool, man. I'm getting to go to speak and teach and help. And then, but the groundwork is laying for next year is well into the 6 figures. That's net.
So when you say you're an advisory only firm, what does that mean?
So we basically do business and tax advisory, not not just sitting there doing FP&A software and spitting out ratios. A lot of our conversations are about, yes, what can we do to save taxes? How can we improve cash flow? Should I hire an employee? Should I hire a contractor? Should I get a building or release a building? It's all those business ops questions that nobody teaches their clients. And all of us CPAs know this stuff, but we never actually share it. And so a lot of it's dialogue. We have a whole subscription-based model, but a lot of what we talk about is shockingly rudimentary to the accounting community, but just life-changing to the client. How do we keep them out of trouble from a compliance standpoint, but we don't even bother with filing tax returns? There's plenty of people to do that. But as the year goes, should I or should I not pull the S-Corp trigger? Should I or should I not do an accountable plan? Should I or should I not change my entity structures in other ways? Should I do a retirement account, 401k versus SEP versus solo K? All the different choices that just emerge throughout the course of the year. We just have a dialogue about it. We do a lot of M&A transactions. So how we work with on the seller side, we'll negotiate deals in conjunction with the attorneys to minimize the taxes, or on the buyer side, we'll do due diligence. And so it's really all that stuff that people go call their accountant for randomly. And the accountant goes, well, I'd like to do it, but it's April 10th. So can we wait till May? And then they don't.
That's a really southern,
so that's
a random typical account. I like it though.
You're welcome.
Sounds like me when I was an accountant.
Well, I am in Texas, so I'm supposed to kind of give you colloquialisms like, fellas, pigs get fat, but hogs, they get slaughtered.
You got any belt buckles?
So you don't do any compliance.
Got any nice belt buckles? No
I don't have any nice belt buckles. Actually, I'm more of a dumb jock nerd combination than I am redneck. The redneck just it's natural. When you live here, you're going to automatically pick up. You'll say y'all and fixin' to within a year when you move.
Well, we're in the South too, North Carolina, South Carolina. I definitely got a lot of y'alls, and I bring the twang sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, you bring the sweet tea, and then everybody's happy.
Not for me.
So you don't do any compliance work at all.
We do basic core management report bookkeeping. So monthly bookkeeping, but we don't do audit, attest, compilations. We do support in sales tax returns occasionally, but we outsource the payroll. We have ADP take care of the payroll 99 times out of 100. The tax prep, I just refer to all my friends that want more tax prep. We focus solely on the advice. There's compliance pieces to it where you might, if we're going to set up an elaborate trust, so let's just say we go into an advanced estate planning and we're going to go ahead and build some charitable remainder trust organization where the lawyers and everybody's involved. We might file compliance related stuff for the setup and beginning, but a lot of times the after effect, somebody else just takes care of it. We're a great referral source. We give all kinds of leads away.
So you're doing mostly So you're doing tax planning, but you're really doing more, you're set up on the bookkeeping, controller, CFO side. So if you have a client, you're probably doing their bookkeeping. But just know.
Are you doing bookkeeping?
Ideally, yeah, we do the bookkeeping because the bookkeeping piece allows us to have the data we need to be a little bit quicker about what we're doing. So if we want to run some numbers, we're not having to try to say, can you have your bookkeeper send it to us? This is just for efficiency. So it's more about efficiency than it is profitability or compliance. It just makes us better advisors being able to have those conversations.
I think it's more about effectiveness too. You're more effective if you have good numbers, get better advice.
Absolutely.
So do you take on clients that are just bookkeeping, or do you do you're definitely going to do the higher level stuff and you do bookkeeping as kind of an add-on?
We have started taking on more just bookkeepings. And the reason is when we try to do the bookkeeping, we're still trying to give them advice and insight. It naturally flows into we're going to give them some support beyond just the books. But we have plenty of clients that just say, I just need books. And even when what's hilarious about it is even when you're in the books and you say, you do realize that you can write this, this, and this off, and we can help you with that. And it'll save you $10,000 a year. Nah, I'm good. All the time. It's actually disappointing sometimes, but too much effort. It's really, there's a lot of reasons why. I mean, I had one guy, the very first meeting, within 5 minutes, I identified how to save him $100,000 a year. And he goes, nah, I'm making enough money. It's not like I need it. Well, I appreciate that you're making a lot of money. This is still $100,000. Nah, I don't need it.
Sounds just like the tax
you can
guy.
Give it to other people. Yeah.
Hey, at least you told them. Like you can't always make them do, but you're telling them.
And that's the hardest part. I mean, honestly, we give the advice that we can give. Is that old, bring the horse to water. We try our best to teach, explain, lay out the why, but ultimately the decisions are theirs. We don't want to create complexity where their complexity has no value, but if it's going to save you money and put money in your pocket, keep you from getting audited, protect your assets, build wealth, it's our obligation to at least point it out.
So let's back up. We dove into the details. Let's kind of back up, talk about how you got into this mess, how you become a CPA. Tell us. Start with high school. This is accounting high now, so let's
start with high school.
Yeah.
High school
prom night. When was that?
Prom night
30 years ago. So 1990.
1991.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good night, bad night. How was it?
It was a night.
It was a night.
It was a night. We won't incriminate ourselves any further on this.
Plenty of incrimination that happens on this podcast.
I'm sure we're in trouble right as we open that door. So actually, no, I'm the first kid in my family to ever get a college degree, extended family and included. So nobody knew anything about mentoring and ideas and what to do. So it really walked into college, the one that I could afford, because my dad was a construction worker. We didn't have a lot of money, and stumbled into college and said, well, computers are good. I guess I'll start learning that. So for a couple years, I was a computer science major, got the chicken pox right at finals, and screwed that whole semester up. And so the next semester I said, well, I don't know that I want to take multivariate calculus again. I don't know if I want to take discrete math for computers again. Pretty sure I don't want to take assembly unless I'm really sure. So I took a whole semester of electives, and accounting happened to be one of those electives. And it's definitely one of those epiphany moments. I'm sitting in an accounting class. And again, I was actually a bit of a dumb jock. So sitting there, and they put a videotape in about careers in accounting. And for those listening, a videotape is this boxy thing that actually plays video and sound on a TV. A lot of people may not know what those are anymore. That's how old I am.
Doodle it.
So they put this thing in, the first
people don't even know what
when you
DVDs are
doodle
anymore.
SMD, doodle videotape.
SMD video.
Just don't Google SMD video
together
on the same subject line. Yeah, that's going to be horrible. Yeah, not safe for work, folks. So actually in that classroom though, they put in the professions in accounting. You can be a tax preparer and help people be compliant, blah, 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 blah. And I went, that's a nerd job. And looked around and said, no, that's not for me. And the second profession is you can be an auditor and validate financial statements. And I remember I specifically said, oh, no, I'm out. Forget this. And I start opening the binder up to look at what my other class choices are. Because by the way, we all know that's what they teach us. It's accounting, it's tax or audit. Those are your career choices. Third career came up on this tape, said, you can also go into the FBI because law, language, and accounting are the easiest three paths to get into the Bureau. Al Capone was put into jail for tax evasion, not for murders and extortion and all the stuff we knew he did. And I looked up and realized that's actually that's a career. And I'm not kidding. It was as clear as a bell. That's what I'm going to be. Not that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to be. Immediately changed my degree. I started working out like more. I shot. I took Kung Fu. I didn't get tattoos. I didn't do drugs. Everything I did pushed me into a master's degree in accounting because that made me more competitive for the Bureau. And then what's funny is in 2003, I then turned them down.
That's the exact
So I brought you from
opposite.
high school. I got you to high school.
So
it's the exact opposite of me. I didn't shoot guns, but I did drugs. I got tattoos. I did everything bad right around that time, exactly at that time. And it's funny too. Yeah.
No, what's
Right.
funny is
Keep going.
my dad actually showed that videotape, like when he would go do like career days. That's what he would show. That videotape that showed the FBI thing. So that was
The same one, probably.
Yeah, 100% the same one.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, it was a hook, absolutely, because they hit you with the core stuff, and then but really, I was scheduled to do my final interviews in March of 2003. Had the airplane tickets and the hotel rooms paid for by the Bureau to go up there. And coordinator said you'll be in Quantico by September. And then I realized in talking with my wife how big of a deal it was for me to be a husband and dad. And I couldn't be an absentee father because I was also going to go hostage rescue team. So if I was really going to do it, I was going to do it. I was going to try to do their version of SWAT. And that would have made me an absentee dad and put me at different risk. And it dawned on me that was more important to me. So I actually turned them down. And then at the age of 30, had a master's degree in accounting. I did not want. And so then it was a whole different thing. So I had to reinvent. I had to completely reinvent and decide, do I go back to school and start all over again?
So the absentee stuff, you've been doing a lot of traveling now. Like you're out and about, it's a lot of my travel.
Well, he loved his wife then. Now, it's all travel.
Yeah, she's tired of me.
Exactly.
We get
if it was now, she
well,
would
we
have
were
been
talking about dad guilt.
No,
we were just talking about it when we were with each other last week. It was like maybe it was 2 weeks ago now. Like all this traveling, it's good to kind of balance that.
Yeah, but your kids are older now. Your wife's like, yeah, I'd prefer not to see you. So if you could just please, have you thought about the FBI now? Now that would be great.
Yeah. What's funny is I was actually talking to some agents last year at another event where we're talking to a bunch of college kids, and they tried to recruit me. And then they found out how old I was and said, "Oh, we're sorry," because there's an age limit.
Aged out.
I've aged out. I can't even call it. Well, you can be a consultant. I was like, nah. Yeah, they are ageist. But so no, actually, the dad guilt's a very real thing. That's why I try to marry up where my family can go with me on these events. So we've taken trips that were for events or conferences, and then my wife and kids may or may not have accidentally come along, and then we see where they can pitch in and work and make them as an employee, or they just go and hang out while I do. Heck yeah, whenever I can, whenever it's reasonable and customary, Mr. IRS agent that is listening. There is abuse, and what's funny is my wife gets frustrated because I'll tell her, no, I can't write that off, and she's like, oh, my CPA sucks.
Do you do your own taxes?
I do. That is one of the very few pieces of compliance that I do, and I still bemoan and whine about that.
Should you do your own taxes?
I probably should not, but it's one of those that it's actually a really good thing to have my hands in the return just so I can see what's changing every year. So when I do mine, my brothers, my mom's, my former college roommates, like I do those, it keeps you fresh in the tool without making it this event where the deadline looms and you don't see your family. Because we know a lot of CPAs that 6 months of their lives is chewed up just by tax deadline. They don't see their families at all. It's a profession that is, and that's actually what's funny is when I talked about in 2017, I used to do all the taxes and I stopped doing it. That was actually one of those second epiphany moments as I realized I was a successful firm on paper. All the numbers said I was killing it, but
except your net revenue, your net income wasn't good.
Net income was okay. I was taking home more money than I should have. I mean, it was really lucrative. But when you start looking at the ratio of time to dollars, my hourly rate equivalent was garbage because you're grinding 7 p.m. on a Sunday night just to make it to a deadline. We all know how that life is. So I'm more profitable now with more free time. The only reason I have less free time is because the speaking and teaching is so much fun that I get up early on Sunday mornings and stuff to write content and just do the fun stuff. And then there's the real estate businesses, but that's a whole different thing.
Well, that's still part of it too, right? Like tell us about the real estate a little bit.
So we actually, one of our niches at the firm is advising on investments in real estate. So whether it's single family, short-term rentals, commercial, all that stuff, I have a couple commercial properties of my own. I've got a couple single family rentals and a couple short-term rentals. And so we do all that for our own personal gain. Mama runs most of that, but of course she has this accountant that also sucks that won't write off everything she asks for, which would still be me. So we dabble in the real estate just depending on what the right deal is. But it's also, we coach on it, we see it, we talk to clients all the time about it. So we just participate on our own as part of our portfolio.
So in 2006, you decided to start your own firm. I'm guessing.
Yep.
How'd you decide that was your path?
So just a few years before, I had turned down the bureau, and I literally for 2 years was lost. I mean, I was doing interviews and wasn't getting jobs because I clearly wasn't invested. I'm a terrible employee. I do not take direction at all. In fact, I'm still hanging out with my former bosses, and I apologize every time we have lunch because Because I'm like, yes, I know I was a millennial before millennials existed and complained all the time. Okay, that's probably, for any millennials listening, I understand where you're coming from. You want more life-work balance. I get it. I was the same way, but I was way too entitled. I really thought, I'm going to go do something bigger. And so I realized there were so many small there's so many small business owners that don't get advice. Like my business was, I was working at a large firm and we would help people that make 5 million to 500 million bucks a year. Well, there's consultants falling out of the sky for them. For everyone else, there were wonderful tax preparers and amazing bookkeepers, but clients kept coming in looking for advice, but couldn't afford this larger firm. And I made the mistake of saying, somebody needs to start a firm that focuses on them. And if you ever hear yourself say somebody needs to start doing something, it usually means that's about what you're going to go do. So I really did. I realized I'm a terrible employee. I saw all these people that needed help. I really believed that advisory was the way to go. And I started the firm. It's SMD Consulting and Accounting. I named it in that order on purpose, leading with we're here to give advice. And I was right. That's why I had such crazy growth in those years, not even trying. I mean, just pure referrals and word of mouth. In fact, my business still today is referrals and word of mouth because my SEO is terrible, absolutely terrible. But it doesn't matter when you have people's trust. And so it just blew up from there. But I really tried, like, what color is your parachute? I even went to go interview at Intuit, and I'm really happy they didn't hire me because that's why I'm here now, because I didn't get a regular day job. I created my own firm, and it's been a blast. I mean, it's had its trials, don't get me wrong. I mean, anybody that's ever run a business knows how really, really difficult it is to run a company. It is not perfect every single day, but you keep slogging through it and it ends up with better results.
So talk about some of the transitions you made from starting the firm to now no tax returns, not really any compliance.
There's a lot of different breakpoints. My 5th year was a crucible year. I literally had 100% turnover in all my employees. Everything from one guy getting a DUI to somebody getting off their medication and just going nuts on me. I mean, it was the craziest year. It's a whole story over alcohol to tell, not really for the mixed company here because it has a whole bunch of funny F-bombs in it. But generally,
this podcast,
crucible
year, it's all open.
This
all
podcast, you can 100% drop F-bombs here.
No, but don't this podcast. I'm just saying, you can be real here.
Yeah. So no, the 5th year was the crucible year when we really went through it. And it was, the evolution started with, how do we start as a tax firm and we'll outsource all of the bookkeeping. Then you realize outsourcing all the bookkeeping, you weren't getting as good a data, and I was giving away over 25% of my revenue to somebody else because I wasn't margining on top of it. So we pulled the bookkeeping in. And then we started scaling and getting more systematic about how we gave advice. So then we started moving on into the 2016, 15, 16, 17 era where I had a consulting department and a tax department and an accounting services department. But that was intended to partition things so the consultants could still help people in April and March. But when the CPAs on the tax prep side are losing their minds and working till midnight, the consultants came over to take the burden off. So then everybody just gets pulled back into tax season again. So 2017 actually was at Scaling New Heights in Orlando, of all places, where it dawned on me that I don't have to do taxes. There's nothing mandating that I have to do taxes. And so we just fired all the tax returns within 30 days of me making the decision, and then began building a process where we do recurring consulting, subscription-based and project-based, fixed fee. We don't hourly rate anymore. And then that just evolved from that point to adding wealth management and law. Because if you're already saving somebody $100,000 in taxes every year, they're eventually going to ask what to do with it. And when you refer it out to a financial advisor and that person does something completely opposite of what you want to do, or the estate plan attorney does something wrong, it's easier just to bring it all in-house. So we really just evolved from tax prep and differentiating ourselves with giving advice to really moving full service, all advice, and then wrapping our arms around everything in their financial world by helping with wealth management, estate planning, and tax advice. Still letting other people do the prep, but we focus all year on how we give the advice as opposed to worrying about the deadline killing all of us. And it works really well. Last year, I had a guy sell a business for 8 figures, and the deal was set to close on April 10th. In prior years, I could have never even helped this guy. He made a lot of money. I made a lot of money. It was a really win-win situation because I was not buried with the burden of tax season.
So how you said you decided to go into wealth management. How did you find? You said you partner with someone.
Mhm.
So what does that mean by partnering with someone?
It initially started off tons of interviewing, trying to get to know people that have the same core values. And it's critical. You got to look at the world the same way. If we're just trying to sell people stuff, it doesn't do any good. So it was a lot of interviewing, and I have a whole methodology on how I go through big change. And this is not here to pat myself on the back or sell, but that's when he was talking about the speaking that I do, that's largely the masterclass I created is about my methods for going through big changes. How do you decide to fire all the tax returns, and then how are you going to go about it? How do you decide if you want to add wealth management? So all these big, huge changes always keep coming back to this process. But the wealth management piece itself, I had to become securities licensed so that I can
talk about the process.
Oh, the process? Okay. So it's called the Chief Proactive Advisor Program. So CPA, it's not on accident. It has the same initials. So it's really, we refer to it as CPA squared. It's exponentially improving the CPA life by going through the Chief Proactive Advisor Program. And the methods really has a 6 steps that you work through. And we have the workbooks and the methodologies, but it all starts with passion. What do you want to do in your life? Doesn't matter what you do now. If all you do is bookkeeping and you hate your life, bookkeeping may not be what you need to do. So we strip it all the way back to, what are you good at? What do you love? Who do you want to help? What services do you want to offer? And then what is your success? And then build a business plan. So those 6 steps comes back to, what do you want out of your life? And I do this at least once a year for myself. I mean, my employees are used to me saying it now. At least once a year, I step back and say, do I just close this stinking thing down? Do I want to do this anymore? And when I reevaluate, it gives me clarity on, should I keep going? Because we all fall into the same trap in the accounting world of, well, that's what we did last year and that's how we made money. Oh, that client stinks, but you know what? They're our biggest client. We get to decide what the heck our businesses are. So the methods are the processes that I go through and teaching how those steps work so that you can focus on what you want to achieve out of your career or what you want to get out of your business, and then build on that from there. And so it's really just, I didn't realize I had a process until I started writing down what the heck I do. And it's the same thing every single time. And it's what I've been teaching clients for years, just formalized it into the program. Does that help?
Yeah. So you basically, you decided that you want to do more of the advising, not the compliance. Mm-hmm. So you decide that, and then you decide to get into wealth management. So let's go back to the wealth management piece. So you're trying to find somebody. So I think this is I think wealth management is a big piece that like a lot of CPA firms should get into that they are not doing. So I guess, how did you decide like this is a smart idea, and then how did you go about adding it to your firm?
So for us, we knew that it was part of the relationship. We were already giving advice on how to build wealth by saving money on taxes and cash flow. And we were already referring this work to other advisors. We really, truly kept running across. We would refer it, and it was sort of a shotgun approach. Gosh, we hope they do it right. And so you try harder and harder to have meaningful dialogues and bring the two together, right? You want to partner up and have the conversations. But you've got your firm, they've got their firm. They're going to go do their own thing. You're going to go do your own thing. And when you throw in an attorney into the mix, now you've got 3 completely disparate pieces of this puzzle that are kind of out there operating on their own. And we all know that getting 3 separate companies to talk to each other on a consistent basis just doesn't work. And so we were interviewing and talking with people about how we can pull them in-house. First, looking at employees, looking at contractors, but I am CPA licensed, securities licensed, and insurance licensed. So I can also be compensated in all those spaces, but I'm not a lawyer. So I knew right away I could not own a law firm, nor could I employ an attorney to give legal advice. So I always knew there had to be a joint venture formal relationship with a law firm. And so I just extrapolated that to the exact same thing with the wealth management firm. How and why I decided to do it is it more completely helped the client. It made it much more efficient, fewer bits of mistakes between the 2 firms by having it virtually under one roof. And I do use the term virtually because just like one of my W-2 employees lives in Portland, the law firm is in Phoenix. it doesn't matter where we are anymore because we have technology to work ourselves together. But when a client comes in, they have a meeting with me and one of the financial advisor leads that sits in my office, and we get to know that client and decide, do they need business and tax consulting only? Do they need wealth management and estate planning only? Do they need both? And figuring out what helps them the best. And then that's how the lead emerges. On Friday, client walked in. I assumed that they were absolutely just going to be a real estate investor client. That's all they needed. They had some questions about a 1031 exchange. And so we start talking, and 1031 exchange is completely irrelevant. But what had just happened is 2 weeks ago, they had both retired and had no idea what to do with their money. They had no idea how long their money would last. They had no idea how to distribute efficiently. They came in with a 1031 question, but because we offer the wealth management, I could help this family with really what their bigger issue was, even though their first question was just some real estate stuff. And so it's created a total solution. For the CPAs that are looking to add it, it all centers around core values. There's plenty of firms out there just trying to sell you, and they're really just trying to get your Rolodex. It's understanding if they are truly trying to serve your client the way you want to serve your client. And if they're not, there's a lot of other ways to do it than just partnering up with ABC company. I don't want to disparage any particular brokerage houses, but a lot of them are just trying to sell you stuff. And it could be also insurance people. We do insurance strategies just like we do stock strategies. They're two sides of the same coin.
So how do you determine your core values, and what are they?
So core values is a long exercise of really just deciding what type of person you want on your team. And so we have 6 core values. Hopefully I can rattle them off the top of my head. The first one
You
is
don't
to be
have
a
an
problem
acronym
solver.
for them?
Nah.
What?
Nah,
You're
it
good
got all
with the
messed up.
acronyms. Yeah, you're great with that. Like I've got one for ours, but
I'll have to work it out.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back through and see if I can reword and do some, thesaurus.com to make it into an acronym. No, the first one is problem solver. It's really, if we look at interviewing employees, it's actually even more important on the employee side. When we're interviewing, we have a very simple question we just ask after interviewing is, are they us? Everybody knows what that means. They can just, we go look at core values and say, of the 6 core values, would we score them a 6, a 3, a 2, and just kind of run it through. And the very first one, the most important, is problem solvers. When I go to college classes and I speak a lot of times, the kids will ask, so what do you look for when you hire somebody? And I don't look for employees. I look for solutions. I look for people that can help my clients, that don't just sit there and wait. They go solve problems. And that's where so many of my employees are amazing, is I can sit here on this podcast and hang out with you. I have zero worry that any of our clients are not being taken care of and giving great service, because it starts with solving the problems. The second one, and I won't go through all 6, but I'll give the second one that's really important, is we hire for charismatic communicators. And that the alliteration's on purpose. That is a little bit of the letters that I get for you. It's not an acronym, but being an excellent communicator and being charismatic, being somebody that they can trust, that they can like, being empathetic, being there for the client, not just talking at the client. Because you can communicate effectively, but not in a way that they want to talk to you. And this is where we have a whole purple unicorn issue. To hire at our firm, it really takes a unique person to be a charismatic communicator in our industry. And so how do we help create rapport? How do we make sure they understand, no, we're really here to help you. We're not here to sell you anything. I mean, I am blessed that we don't hurt for leads. We don't hurt for opportunities. I don't have to talk you into buying anything. The only reason we hard sell on anything is because it is that important to you. Like my example, if I'm going to save you $100,000 and you think you don't need it, then donate it, which, by the way, is another tax deduction. Right? Hire somebody that could never get a job. Send the elevator down. If we get pushy, the only reason we're getting pushy is because we really believe this helps you. And I've talked clients out of hiring us. Sometimes we're just too darn expensive. I'm the first one to tell them that. But that reputation has built. But being the charismatic communicator, you have to be able to communicate and create that rapport with them. Otherwise, you're just giving them instructions. And that's not always what clients want, particularly when you're dealing with money, success, wealth, life-work balance, all the stuff that we deal with for our clients.
that sounded like 2 out of 6.
Yeah, he said he wasn't
That's 2 out of 6. Do you want me to go through the whole list?
No. I was just gonna try to make an acronym out of it for you. Not gonna,
Okay,
not gonna go there.
We'll
yeah.
we'll team up. We'll team up and get some acronyms figured out.
No, I'm kidding. It's always just a good mnemonic device to remember things.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Mnemonic. Look at you.
I'm gonna have to doodle that.
You had
later.
the thesaurus.com up.
I'm gonna doodle that with the SMB
Yeah,
or
mnemonic.
whatever.
I probably used it wrong.
What?
Don't Google it. Yeah.
So you've decided
Have you already been direct messaged on what it was?
Not quite. This is not live. People aren't going to hear this for another 6 months, maybe 4 months,
Come on, man.
depending on how quick. Yeah.
So you have all these core values. How do you implement them? Like your processes and you're getting your wealth management. How are you structuring your deals with your clients and your processes to make sure that you're servicing the client properly?
Okay, so that multifaceted question there. How do we have the processes to make sure we're servicing the client? It's been an evolving thing. I mean, no joke. Our processes and our systems, they're 6, 7, 8 years in the making. So back around 2015 is when we started creating a lot of the methodologies for recurring consulting. And what would it look like? How do we do it? How do we consistently take care of a client without promising the world? How do we make it customized without making it too customized? So it's how we do it today is we have a recurring consulting program that has recurring proactive checkpoints. So quarterly, our consultant will reach out to the client with ideas, suggestions, and methodologies, depending on whatever we see they need. Because what company A needs is totally different than company B. So each quarter they're doing analyses. And then in between that, depending on the scope of work and what we think that they need, they can call us for other questions without any extra fees. But occasionally projects emerge. Somebody decides they want to reorganize their entities. They're going to sell their business and need a mergers and acquisition transaction. So we've got projects that we'll quote outside the scope of the recurring work. So how we make sure that works is we had to first really define what's our limit. Do we want to meet with them monthly? Do we want to meet with them annually? That's a pretty big difference. Understanding what our clients want. We actually tried to do monthly meetings with clients, and almost all of them just said, this is too much. Knock it off. Like, stop bothering me. I don't have time for this. So, but that's because that's what our clients are fairly affluent and really, really busy. Smaller businesses that are startup might want that monthly handholding. And so we just structured what worked for us, selfishly, what worked for us first. That was more important. I didn't want my team to have to run analyses every single month and then it turns into a grinder. It's like a corporate accountant. Month-end close, that feels just as bad as tax season. So how did we set a cadence that worked well for us and then serve the client as well? And then built all the processes in between, building the tech stack to automate and take as much redundancy as out. We're constantly evolving that. How do we build the tech stack out to take out the redundancies? And then when we built in and added in the wealth management, the estate planning, trying to integrate that as much as possible, but those are legally different companies with different owners because I can't own all of those, using the tools that they have because law firms have to use different things than the wealth management firms. And so how do we get those systems working as efficiently as we can? But the core of it all, the silver bullet to it all, single point of contact. If anybody wants to steal the idea, single point of contact. The client does not care if they're called the bookkeeper, the tax preparer, the wealth manager. They want one freaking person. And that has been the key, is that one person they call figures out who they need to pull in. And it makes life so much easier. So we can offer 50,000 different things and pull in a tax attorney and pull in a bookkeeper and pull in an auditor. But really it's Brian, Joelle, Jason, Leslie, whoever is the one single point of contact. It centralizes it for the client because the client doesn't care. They just want it done. They just want to know that they can count on somebody. And that's been huge, is being able to do that. So setting the cadence that made sense for us, that matched our clients, and then centralizing that point of contact and then building efficiencies from there.
That's what matters most to me whenever I work with somebody. I just want to have to talk to one person or ask one person for something. I don't care if they direct me somewhere else. But
there's so many accounting firms that don't do that. They do every year they get a new person. Or like I've never.
Well, turnover stinks in our industry.
Turnover is tough. And I think we all have to deal with the turnover. So it's hard to say, okay, yes, you're going to have one point of contact, and then that one person has 30 plus people. You lose that person, and now everybody has a new point of contact. How do you protect yourself from that?
You do the best you can. I mean, this is the common plight of everybody in our industry, right? Is first of all attracting talent and then retaining it. And there's books and there's courses on there is no one way to do it. The best way I found how is get the right person on the bus first, which starts with when we interview, we're really, really picky. Since you can say we can do the F-bomb, I'm going to go ahead and we have a saying in the office, and it's Kyle. See, Kyle's this guy we were interviewing a while back. I think it was a year and a half, 2 years ago. Kyle's resume was perfect. Perfect. Everything we could ever want on the resume was there. And then we interviewed Kyle, and Kyle was a dead fish. And his real name is not Kyle, because the actual internal word is a different guy's name. But just in case he listens, I don't want this guy, or the real guy to know. But this individual was a dead fish. He would, we do analysis, and I'd be happy to help you with it now. Okay, yeah, just tell me what you want me to do, and I'll take care of that. I mean, I just need you to tell me what you need done. Well, I've already violated the first two core values, charismatic communicator, and he's just told me, I don't go solve problems, just tell me what you need. That's not what we want. And so Kyle had this great resume that was supposed to be great. So whenever we have somebody that we're interviewing, and they're like, we want to like them, everybody basically shouts, it's not Kyle, because I'm going to use the other, but Kyle.
I love this. This might end up being the title of this episode. Kyle. That's what I'm going to call the title of this episode.
It reminds me when I say Scott a lot.
So
a lot like
I've got I've got almost an exact similar story, because we do our first round before interviews, people have to leave a voicemail, and we listen to that before we even look at their resume. But I got into the habit of looking at the resumes, and I had a perfect resume, everything, the experience, all of it. It's like, we got to hire this guy. And then it was Kyle on the voicemail. For damn sure it was Kyle, because he hung up halfway through the first question. He was like, I can't deal with this. And he hung up. It was like droll, dull, and then he couldn't figure out the answer. He didn't have the right answer, and then he just hung up. Perfect. Yeah.
Oh, and we've all had, I mean, how many horror stories have we all had in interviews? Earlier this year, no matter how hard we try, we interview for core values, we check backgrounds, we do everything we're supposed to do. Earlier this year, we hired a lady that was a JD, CPA, EA. She took the EA exam because it had been 20 years since she'd passed the CPA exam, so she really just wanted to prove to herself she still could do it. That's pretty freaking motivated. And all the credentials, she did great on all the interviews. She made it 6 days and stole a laptop. 6 days. She ghosted us on day 5. Day 6 was when we finally were able to get in touch with her and say, you're not dead. And then it was, and she said, you guys kept harassing me yesterday. You disappeared for 8 hours. Nobody could. Yeah. You missed 3 meetings. You are living on your own. We called your emergency contact. I sent the police to her home for a well check. That's how legitimately we worried we were, because up until that point, she was an over communicator and then disappeared. And then she stole a laptop and went away. So no matter how hard you try, you can still end up with some pretty crappy employees. So the answer of how do you make sure you do this right? You do the best you can. We interview for good people, because I can teach you all the technical. And you need to have a base level of knowledge. But if we get the core values right and really are strict, I would rather say Kyle 50 times and not hire someone, but then to get the Joelle and the Jason and the Ashley and the Leslie, the people that I have on my team, I would rather have a small team of awesome than a whole bunch of just warm bodies. And that's been what's made us as successful as we have. I've screwed it up plenty of times. And every single time I step over a core value and go, well, it's not that important. It absolutely is, every single time. And it emerges usually within about 3 to 6 months. It's hard, man. It's hard to get the right people. And I would say that if you are constantly drowning in work because you can't find the people, just raise the prices and have fewer clients and keep fewer people.
I like that.
Which also is what we did. We had 15 clients that we increased their fees anywhere between 30% and 3 times. And this is just 15, a small little sample size, but they were subscription-based clients. So they're monthly recurring consulting and bookkeeping in many cases. And all of them got a 1/3 and one lady had a 3 times. So we did the math and said, we think that these 8 are going to fire us. So if we keep these 7, we're going to actually make $300 a month more. It's not making me rich, but you know what? I make more money with less than half the people. 5 of them fired us. And the one that I tripled the fees on is one of the ones that stayed. So I don't need as many people if we can charge the fees commensurate with what our services are and do a good work. You have to do good work, but just get rid of some of them. You don't have to have all those clients to be happy. You can actually make more money with
clients
fewer
know
people
when you're
if you really
undercharging
just have
them.
to build it that way. Oh yeah.
And if they don't, then they don't understand your value.
And they're the ones
they need to get out. So talk about your pricing.
And they're not bad people when they do.
No, they're just not right for you. Talk about your pricing. So how do you go about pricing client? What's kind of your minimum? Sounds like quarterly is the way you do it, which sounds good to me. So quarterly check-ins, and are you doing the books quarterly? Or are you doing the books monthly?
Books are monthly. So I'm going to give you some ballparks. Monthly books are $500 a month, give or take, depending on complexity per set of books. So it's pretty industry standard. We're not doing elaborate stuff with them. I mean, we're not doing virtual controller. Again, I'm not signing off on them. We are building in more methodologies where we will.
$500 you reconciling for the month.
Yeah, actually, no, we do a modified accrual. In fact, I hate cash basis. Cash basis doesn't give you any meaningful information. If I don't have monthly depreciation, then I've already screwed up the books. One of my biggest pet peeves, and please, accountants that listen, stop freaking booking depreciation in December. That does not help your client at all. The purpose of accounting
you're talking directly
is to
to me. That's what I
do.
Yeah, that's what we do too.
Knock it off. It doesn't. The purpose of the books is for the client to have information about the performance of their business. If all we care about is annual numbers for the purpose of doing a tax return, are we actually helping the client in any meaningful way? We're not. We're just dumping some numbers. And oh, by the way, when you book accelerated depreciation in December, that's also not reflective of what's happening in the company. You've made December look awful and the year look awful. Yeah, it matches the tax return, but you didn't give them any idea about their company performance. So we do a modified accrual. And the reason I say modified,
so they know that's not related to the company performance.
But if you think about it, depreciation still is part of the cost of doing business. The reason the whole maker's table and the reason depreciation.
Sometimes people just buy cars.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends on the business.
Yeah.
But now, like, everything's almost
absolutely
automatically expensed right away. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're there's not many businesses that do a lot of asset purchasing now. But yeah, if you were one of those, yeah, for sure, depreciation plays a big role in that.
Well, asset purchasing, you're buying your insurance. If you have $40,000 a year of liability insurance and that paid in July, now July is terrible. There's certain numbers and it's a judgment call, right? So the books are set up a little bit to where they're management reports because the purpose is
that's the purpose.
When we do our consulting, we want to know. Yes, it's not about the tax return's easy, right? That's just an M1. So once you've got your books accrual, you can always do an accrual to cash adjustment to do the tax return. So the CPA should know how to make that adjustment very, very easily. There's a specific field on the tax return for it. So it exists for a reason. So we modify that and give them advice to where they can give them advice as the year's going so we can get trend lines and patterns and be able to give them the insight. So bookkeeping, roughly $500-ish a month. So it is a little bit more than cash basis. We do a little bit more insight and we do give some additional metrics, but it's not consulting. The consulting is typically $709 a month minimum. We have some that are several thousand a month, and it all is based on complexity. It's not extrapolated by hourly rate. It's really what kind of value can I bring? If I go into a client and I know the very first change I'm going to make is $100,000 a year of tax savings, they're not a minimum. No chance. We can value bill this. And then you're gauging what their sensitivity is. I mean, I hate to say it, you're charging them as much as you reasonably can. And there's an art to this. There is no science. You've got it right when you say, quote, $1,700 a month, and they go, gosh, I was thinking $1,500. Sure, $1,500. When you know full well you could be profitable at $8. You can still build these methods in depending on the client. You're not trying to abuse them, but you are creating value. Why are we charging? Well, I charge $150 an hour, but you might have just saved them $150,000. So how can we charge $150? When we used to do books hourly, we had probably 20 clients that paid about $80 a month because we were so stinking efficient. We were punished. So let's stop being punished and just fixed fee this. And so we do the same thing with the consulting. It's minimum $709 a month with a setup charge. It's a 1-year agreement minimum. Bookkeeping is a 1-year agreement minimum with setup charges. And then we have projects that get sprinkled in depending on what their needs are. And then the wealth management is securities. So it's AUM. Law has different fees and rules. We just add that in from there.
Do you really let them knock the price down, or do you like give a little, take a little away? You present them with 1,700. You shouldn't let them just say 15. Okay.
100%. 100%. Well, in that case, I can't do this. Or if it's a great referral source, or I knew that I was overstepping, because I've had plenty of deals where I quoted
Sure.
high just to see.
Yeah.
And you know what? Because you're Joe's friend, I'll go ahead and do it. Just don't tell anybody else we did that.
I fear starting a relationship off like that.
Yeah, I don't ever lower
any
price.
other time. Yeah. Any other time.
If they're worried about $200 a month, I don't want them.
Yeah.
But I get it too, because when you get over excited and you give them too high of a price, yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough situation.
Yeah. It's an art, right?
100%.
Oh, it's an art. Yeah.
It takes a long time. How long do you think it took
the
you
hourly
to
rate
feel
is-
comfortable doing value pricing?
I still don't
Oh
feel
God,
comfortable doing
3
it.
years.
Yeah.
It probably took me 3 years, because I think I started giving it a shot around 2015, 2016. And right around end of 2018, 2019, as I was like, I got this. Now it's just finding out what the right number is. So then it was understanding the client base. And there's plenty we still undercharge for. I mean, you go in and they sign like in a heartbeat. You're like, shoot, I didn't charge enough.
Yeah.
It's okay. You still charge better than you did when you did hourly. So it still works out.
Yep. Yeah, we're the same way. I'm going up like on all the prices. Like you did, just going up. Because I think that's the biggest problem is we get so busy because we're doing too much work and we're not charging for it the proper amounts. So get rid of the work, or at least get paid double for the work you're doing.
And it's simple, right? It's simple math. If I double my fees and I lose half my clients, we're no worse off.
You're way better off.
You're actually better off. You're way better off. But it's the fear. In fact, actually, what's funny is my upcoming session from my masterclass is talking about the services and the pricing. That's literally the next one coming up. And one of my poll questions is, how are you? I think I phrase it as, are you afraid to double your fees or something like that, or increase them by 50%? Because there's a fear, right? There's a fear of like, oh my God, everybody's going to hate me. No, they won't hate you. I will tell you, you will have belligerent responses.
Oh, 100%.
I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all. I mean,
but you don't want those people. Like you don't want those clients. Like there's a million CPAs.
Yep.
There's other people who will do the job.
There are a million.
Pretty close. I mean, there's like 60,000 firms.
There's a couple firms.
Yeah.
That's true. Back in 2016, my highest revenue client was my lowest margin client, because he just started hogging up time. And when he wanted to try to negotiate and tell me that, my lawyer says you're too expensive, then find someone else. Find someone else that can save you $1.1 million in a single year of taxes.
Yeah.
Which is what we just did for him. Yeah, but I know you saved that, but I would have gotten it anyways. No, you wouldn't have. We went and amended a return somebody else did to get you half of it. So 1.1 million arrived because we were here.
Yeah.
But yet he hogged up all the time, and that's fine. He left. And the moment anytime a bad client leaves, we end up finding anywhere between 1 and 5 more that are better. And given the fact that you've all probably seen the statistics, what is it? Like 70% of the CPAs today are 65 or older. And we know there are not enough younger professionals coming in. So the big question is, who's going to be doing the work? There are fewer of us, period. Go look at all of our emails for all the number of firms in our area that are for sale. The number of emails we get is more than we used to get 3 years ago. So everybody is starting to see the retirement wave happening for any number of reasons. That's a whole session on its own. There's fewer of us, but the number of potential customers and clients has not changed.
It's gone up.
How are we going to service all of them? The price has to go up, efficiency has to go up, and the efficiency is not quite there yet because automation isn't in place. So we've got a 2 to 5 year window where we can go bonkers with fees, and people are going to have to pay it. I hate to say that, but that's the market. This is supply and demand curves.
Econ 101.
Yeah, 100%. There are fewer of us. We can charge more because what we bring has value, and if somebody down the street wants to charge $25 for it, let them, because they're in the back of the UPS store doing the tax return. You're not worried about that. You're going to clean that one up for $10,000
exactly,
next year.
Yeah.
So you're going to get a bigger profit from that one anyways.
That's the
which
best.
has happened to me a million
Oh
times.
yeah, those are my best. When we lose a client, then we come back and then we just see, or just like a new client, you just look at the return. You're like, who prepared this return? Like it was literally, like there was no review process, no nothing, and like you missed like, yeah, $1 million mistake or a $20,000 mistake or whatever. That's the best.
Yeah. Well, or somebody goes and jacks it up, and then you get the massive project for it. Now, granted, we don't want the big projects and the client to waste the money, but you can't officially say "I told you so," but you can politely say "I told you so."
Yeah.
And there's a cost to it. You know, I'm sorry, sir or madam, we have to rebuild your books for the last 3 years back when we last talked, and then we have to amend the returns. And by the way, the IRS representation fee, that's one of the areas we do have to charge hourly because they're so messed up now we can't even predict and fix fee that stuff anymore. And then, by the way, going forward, here's your new large fee that you don't have to pay. You know, you won't have to at least have this cleanup again. I mean, those are $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 projects in a blink just because of somebody being cheap 3 years ago.
Yep.
For sure. So, Sean, tell our listeners how they can find you. They like what they hear.
So for the firm, it is smdaccounting.com. And for Chief Proactive Advisor Program, it is chiefproactiveadvisors.com.
Not
So,
CPA.com?
and I'm going to be speaking on not CPA because that was for some reason taken. Some group said something about it. It was really annoying. But yeah, I'll be speaking at QuickBooks Connect, and it depends on how long it takes for this podcast. Or maybe I have already spoken at QuickBooks Connect.
It might be QuickBooks Connect of next year.
Yeah.
That we're releasing it.
2040.
That's okay. I'll probably be there too.
I can tell you that the scheduled date for this is going to be April 10th. How appropriate.
April 10th. Okay, so since today is April 10th.
So you're listening, tax season. Tax season's doing
sorry.
5 days. In 5 days, you're going to change your whole firm, like Sean.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is what you do post-tax.
Since you're okay, so if you're sitting here listening to this on April 10th and you are a tax preparer, I am so sorry about how awful that went. The entire reason the Chief Proactive Advisor Program exists is so you don't have to do this anymore. And how do you build it out? And no doubt I'm pretty sure I'm speaking at Scaling in the summer. I'm pretty sure I'm speaking at Engage in the summer. I should, by that point, since it's now April 10th and not October, as we're talking literally, I should have workshops on the docket. There will be multiple master classes on various different platforms. So all the stuff that I'm teaching, that'll be right there in front of you when you say, I can't do this again. There's a path. That's the thing I'm most passionate about because we watch our industry. I love consulting with businesses and clients. And that's what the firm does and have amazing employees that do that because I don't do client work anymore. My employees do it. My passion is I can't land every single client. So if I can teach CPAs and accountants and bookkeepers to be better advisors to their clients, I can now help all of those clients. It's this multiplier. If I teach Scott how to become an advisor, I've now helped hundreds of clients.
You just wasted your time
by teaching Scott. Oh, okay. Some people can't learn, right?
Unless you have to do it.
Chief Proactive Advisor.
You have to do it in rap format, and then we might pick up on it. But Sean, this has been we could talk.
Well, you'll appreciate. I've been introducing the kids. Oh, good.
Introducing the kids what?
Oh, I've been introducing the kids to the Beastie Boys and some Run DMC and stuff. So they're like, oh, this is a Beastie Boys song too. Yep. So we're driving around with that going nonstop.
Yeah, one of our first reviews was these guys are the Beastie Boys of accounting, and that was before I even started rapping.
There you go.
So
that was the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me ever. Well, Sean, this has been a pleasure. We could continue this conversation forever. I'll be engaged next year in 3 months from when you hear this, so I'll make sure that I see you. And everyone should. You're onto something. I think you're onto something.
He is.
Appreciate
He's
that.
already on to
Sorry
it.
for the
He's
slow
already-
start, guys.
yeah.
I wasn't sure how I could do the F-bomb so early. I was withholding my F-bombs.
Next time you'll know you can-
you loosened up
You can
halfway
start
through.
way
Yeah.
earlier next time. Like first.
Well, I'm gonna
It'll
approach you. I'm gonna approach you to be one of our faculty members of Accounting High, possibly, since you do all of this masterclass stuff and all this education. We need more faculty members
Alrighty.
of Accounting High. Yeah. We got a new public school offer
Then I'll be-
for the accountants.
I'm the cafeteria supervisor.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, I'm the custodian. So
We're very low.
You're the
level.
lunch lady.
We're
Is
very
it-
low.
Did you just volunteer?
yeah, he's the
I'm the
lunch
lunch
lady.
lady.
Yeah, Akim is the lunch lady.
You like square pizza, Sean?
I need that rectangle pizza.
Yeah, it's there. You go.
That was perfect. Awesome.
All right,
Appreciate
Sean.
it, Sean. Thanks for coming on.
Take care.
Thanks, fellas. I enjoyed it.